Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, friends. Before we get started, I'd appreciate it if you would take a moment and silence your mobile devices. Right. I'm Reverend Susan Overland, and I am honored on behalf of Eileen, Mitch, and Mark's family members and friends to welcome each of you and to thank you for being here, to love one another, to support one another through this time. I pray that you gain strength and support just by being in connection with each other and comforting each other as we remember and celebrate, celebrate life, and specifically the one special life of Mark Summers. Born November 3rd, 1962. He's paging somebody. He left us on March 24th. Far too soon, and we hear that a lot, don't we? Too soon gone, or far too soon. But I always stop a minute and think, well, how long would have been enough? Really? When you think about the love and a life so well lived. But it is a reminder, a gentle reminder, that each life is a gift to be held in our hearts, to be lived out loud and fully. I also want to acknowledge that there may be many different beliefs here, different faiths, different ways of thinking. And as we gather to celebrate the life of Mark Summers, I just want to invite you at the start to just turn inward and just reflect according to your own beliefs. Maybe we start with a breath. And as we begin our time together, we open with an invocation. And in so doing, we become aware that our time here, and I mean not just here, but here, is very sacred. And we open our awareness to the life that is in each and every one of us, and we recognize that there is an infinite presence in and around us. And we feel that it is blessing us, giving us all the love, the strength, and the wisdom that we need. This presence unites us, not just with one another, but with Mark. We know that love sustains us all and gives us the insight to realize that there is a spirit within each of us, a spirit that will change but can never, ever die. So we simply say thank you to whatever higher wisdom guides your life. Thank you for the knowledge that any need we might express is met by an ever-sustaining love. And so it is. Amen. The significance of this day of holding memorial can have a different meaning for each of us. But we can agree, I think we can all agree, that this service is indeed a celebration of life, Mark's life. We're here to be with each other, to comfort each other when needed, and to give a proper send-off to a family member and a friend. We remember also to be gentle with ourselves and each other in our grief. It's important to take good care of ourselves, to allow ourselves to continue to enjoy this life and the simple pleasures in every day. Because it's also a reminder of how precious life is. We come into the world with very unique individual traits. We have gifts that are uniquely our own. And Mark shared his gifts. And bonds were created, and attachments were formed. There was love, there was friendship. And the beauty of the eternality of life is that these bonds are never broken, they only change. A poet once wrote, "What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls the butterfly. Also, Henry Van Dyke gave us a very visual image in his writing. He wrote Life is Eternal. I'm standing upon a seashore, and a ship at my side spreads her sails, and they're beautiful. They're white, and they're blowing in the morning breeze as the ship starts for the blue ocean. She's an object of beauty and strength, and I stand and watch her until at length she just hangs there like a speck of white cloud just where the sea meets the sky. And someone at my side says, oh, there, she's gone. And I think, gone where? Gone from my sight, really, that's all. She's just as large in mast and hull and spar as she was when she was right there at the short line. And just as able to bear her load of living freight to the place of her destination. Her diminished size is in me, not her. And just at that moment when someone says, there, she's gone, there are other eyes watching and other voices ready to take up the glad shout. There she comes. I think that's true for Mark, who loved so many things. I loved meeting with Eileen and talking about preparing for today. Apparently his favorite food was barbecue ribs, and he loved to grill them. Did anybody get to have that? Did he cook for anybody here besides Eileen? I know Eileen enjoyed it. Yes. He was a Green Bay Packers fan, but I thought, that's all right, I like him anyway. He was a fan of drag racing, and his '63 Chevy Nova wagon. Is that what's outside? That's what's in the parking lot. And what was her name? Molly. He called her Molly. But here you go, right? So here's this football barbecue guy loving his Chevy Nova and watching drag races. And then he'd come home and he'd watch BBC and PBS with Eileen. He liked All Creatures Great and Small and Call the Midwife. I haven't even watched Call the Midwife. He loved history. He would watch shows about JFK and Hitler, as you do. But he would grapple with it. I love that. I love that image of him trying to figure out what would make someone do what Hitler did. He would just grapple with that. And then Eileen would remind him, you know, many scholars and psychologists over the year have tried to figure this out, Mark. And they couldn't do it, but he was troubled. And it would really impact him when he watched these things and the women and the children screaming. He had a huge heart. And he loved babies. He loved babies, in person and on video. He loved watching funny baby videos, and he delighted in watching stupid people videos. And I was sad that I didn't get to watch stupid people videos with him, because I like them too. He hated litter. Like if somebody threw something on the street or he saw litter on the street, he would have to pick it up. He'd have to get rid of it. He was a big softie. I was joking with Eileen because if there was any kind of frustration, like if he was, getting ready to go somewhere, Eileen wasn't ready, or if they were like having a disagreement, he would make sure that both syllables of her name were very clear. Yes. It was Eileen. Not Eileen, just Eileen. I was joking with her. I said I almost got on the mic because she was back there mingling, and I was like, it's F3. I was going to get on the mic and say, Eileen. There are so many stories that are formed and collected in a full life. And so I do hope you have time afterwards to stay for the reception where you'll be able to take the time to share a fond memory or some funny anecdote. we'd like to take a few moments to have, I think Mitch is going to come up first and talk about his dad. And then if anyone else would like to just share a funny story briefly, because there will be time afterwards as well, but just a brief story, something that really tickled you about Mark. And Eileen will have the last word. So at some point, I'll call Eileen up. But right now, I'd like to invite Mitch to come up and talk about his dad.
Okay. Hard to follow that one up, but I'll try my best. It's bright up here. Thank you all for showing up. I see a lot of people that I recognize, either from all the friends that my dad has made over the years, people from Welker. Thank you guys so much for coming out to celebrate the life of Mark, my dad. And then thank you for everybody from Hated to come down also. I'm sure you being here would mean the world to them. So today we come together to remember and honor my dad. It's difficult to put into words what he meant to me because he wasn't just a father. He was someone I looked up to, learned from, and relied on in ways I'm still discovering. When I think about him, I don't just think about big moments. I think about the everyday things, the way he spoke, the way he laughed, the weird habits he had, the values that he carried quietly, yet very consistently throughout his life. Those are the things that stay with you. Those are the things that shape who we become as a person. My dad taught me a lot, even when he didn't realize he was teaching. Through his actions, he showed me what it meant to be kind, hardworking, caring about others, and then most of all, to stand by your family. Even now, those lessons are still a part of me. He wasn't perfect. I'm sure we all have stories about him that can just show how imperfect he was. But he tried the best that he could at any time that he had in his life. He was a real person. He showed up, he tried, he cared, and that mattered more than perfection ever could. One of the things that I'll always carry with me is that he would always say, a man is only worth his word because that's all that you have. That's the kind of thing that doesn't fade, becomes part of your voice, your choices, and your life. Losing him is incredibly painful, and I know many of you here feel that loss too. But I also know this. The impact he had doesn't end here. It lives on with the people he loved and the lives he touched and in the values he passed down to all of us. So, Dad, I say thank you for everything you gave, whether I said it enough or not. Thank you for being my father, a great friend that anybody could have. I will carry you with me always. We love you, and we will never forget you. I'm sure I have many stories to tell about my dad, but I can't think of a single one. We'll save that till the end of it. I know Eileen's got some great ones. Mom, I'm sure you have some funny ones also. Maria, you probably got a few. No, Glenn, Beth, you guys got some. Anybody from Welker, you guys knew how he worked. You'd get him on a job, he'd be a really nice guy, and then you get there, and then he was just a hard ass all day, especially to any of the new guys coming on site for the first time. Anybody from the Hated crew that's here, you guys have some amazing stories, whether it's losing parts, can't figuring out how to drop a transmission, or making a sandwich on the line. Few guys know what that means. But that's about all I have. I appreciate you guys for coming out to honor my dad, and I'm looking forward to get to meet and know you guys a little bit more throughout the rest of this day, because I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories that you have about him that I may not know too much. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
We can do open sharing now for a short time, if anyone wants to tell a brief story about Mark. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Victoria Curtis. I only met Mark 9 months ago, so I'm very sad that I'm not going to get to spend the rest of my life spending time with him. I met Eileen through a mutual friend up in Little River, and I live in the Bay Area, but I go up there 2 or 3 times a year, and they always open their home to me warmly, and we had some fun times hiking and out to dinners, and we had a great time together. One night, my husband recommended a very boring history movie, and we started watching it, and Eileen said, no, you know, Mark likes, just call the midwife, a BBC thing. And I said, oh. So she got me hooked on it, and I went home and binged 18 seasons that week. It was like, I really felt close to him. I love babies, too. So anyway, I'm going to miss him. You know, I'm really sorry that I don't have more time with him. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm Mark's niece, and I have a funny Mark story. When I was moving from college to Chico up to Portland, Mark came to help me move, and I had a couple cats, and we gave the cats some drugs so they'd be good in the car ride. And my fattest cat decided that'd be the perfect time to hop behind our washing machine. So here we are, U-Haul's packed. I'm sure y'all remember Mark, very lovely human being, small temper, especially at this point in time, but I was so proud of him because he did not murder my cat. He got his tools, he moved the washer, got the cat, and got me up to Portland very safely, where I've lived for 20 years. And that was the kind of person he was. Just amazing, ready to help, and I will miss him very much. So thank you. Please share more funny stories.
Hi, I'm Kathy. This is my granddaughter, Lillian. And I'm Mitchell's mom. And Mark was Papa Mark to Lillian. I have so many stories of Mark, but I don't know that they're all appropriate to share with you. But there are so many memories sitting in this room that you all know what I'm referring to when I say those stories. And when you look at Mark, at least for me and Eileen, and some of the Jack and Kathleen, and we saw Mark's growth. We saw Mark go from this long-haired, good-looking, long-haired little man. And we watched him just go through his different stages in life as we participated with him. And he grew into a wonderful man. It was not without the grace of God. And he loved his son. That was his pride and joy. To hear Mitch talk, if you close your eyes, you can hear Mark. And I know that he's going to be with every one of us in this room, especially those that saw him, the long-haired, good-looking little man. He would go out and he wanted to do something. Let's say he wanted to fly those kind of airplanes or ride bikes, and he didn't like to be alone, and so he would buy 2 of everything so that everybody could do it with him. He was a good stepfather to my children, and even though some of their stories are can't be repeated either, but he'll not ever be forgotten. He'll be with us in our hearts forever in everything that we do. He loved you all.
So if my sister was here, she would talk about how we would kind of annoy him about being bald-headed. So we would always ask him why he didn't have hair. So when I came here and I saw the pictures of him with the hair, I was so surprised because I've only known him with no hair. So thank you.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Chris. Do my best to share a little story without breaking up here. Yeah, I met Mark through cars. We saw his little Nova riding around and had to have him be part of it. So we called him over. He was part of the Saturday night crew. I, too, have a Nova. Now Carl's got one, too. And we all have one that's a little bit of a different flavor. But we have many times out in these Saturday night cruises. We'd get out and we'd enjoy our cars together. And I'll never forget, we got it on video, too. I think Eileen's got a video. Put my little Nova up against his. He gave it the beans with the nitrous. I gave it the beans with my supercharger. Pulled on him a little, and Eileen leans over to him and says, "I think you need a bigger pill." It means a bigger shot of nitrous. And sure enough, he did, and that thing turned into a rocket ship. Seeing that thing out here today is it's spectacular. Just so proud of what he turned it into. And it's, as you can tell, really, really touched me to have the experience with Mark and be a part of that whole project in his life. So thanks, everybody.
Okay. I'm Katie, and my mom knew Mark way back in the day, and I didn't meet Mark until, what year was it, 2014? Yeah, I was down visiting Eileen on spring break, and we went out to dinner with Mark because we hoped that he would have some good stories about my mom from when they lived together way back when. And when we were on our way to dinner, Eileen was talking to me about how she's been trying to go out on a date again with Mark. And she said, "Katie, at some point during dinner, I need you to to put Mark on the spot and ask him why he won't ask me out again when we're getting together again. And, yeah, I was too shy, definitely. I was not going to do that, but it all worked out anyways, didn't it? Well, and I'll continue here with not a specific story, but just what Mark meant to me a couple years later after, it all worked out and they were living together. I came down and stayed with them for a couple of months, and I had quite the time. My car got stolen at some point, and I was trying at an age where I was trying to make a life, and Mark was incredibly generous to me and let me borrow his car after mine got stolen, and was just always there to listen and help me through problems and help me try and get through the time that I was going through. So, thank you.
So I'm going to walk around down here because it's too bright up there. So anybody that knew my dad knew that he loved cars. Anything with a motor, he'd love it. He'd take it for a spin, whatever he wanted to do. So he has the Nova. Before that, he had a Dodge Demon that I set the fire extinguisher off in it. That was a fun one, him coming home to. And then he had a green truck that he loved to death. Now, also, if you know my dad, you know that he's not a big fan of windshield wipers at all on any vehicle. So one time, I forget exactly where we were going, but I was pretty young, and we were making our way down. I think we were heading into Carson, but he decided to take the windshield wipers off of the truck, whether it looked cool, he just didn't want them on there anymore, but that was the story. So we're driving to Carson, and we hit this ridiculous storm. Nothing but rain. And then Mom, Dad, they were arguing, going back and forth. And it was just a little single bench seat truck, so I'm stuck in the middle of it. The whole time, I'm like, oh, this is cool looking, because I don't know. I'm pretty young. Today, starts raining. I was like, okay, great, it's raining. Went outside to put some stuff in Molly, and I look at it, and then I look up, and I said, well, damn it, Dad, you did it to the Nova too. So, no windshield wipers on the Nova. Came back inside, looked at Eileen. I said, hey, remember the story I told you about the truck? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, he did it to the Nova. There's no windshield wipers on it. So, yeah, even after passing, he comes back to kind of screw with you a little bit. So... But if there's anybody else that would like to come up and share a funny story, I'm just going to start walking around and handing the mic to people. So if you don't want to get put on the spot, it'd be great. Anything that you guys have, even if it's just a couple little second little joke or something. Yeah, and I'll bring the mic around you guys so you don't feel like you have to stand up in the lights and sweat up there.
Oh, is it better to stand up? Okay. Okay. Oh, over. Okay. Hi, I'm Beth. I am married to Glenn, who is the brother of Eileen. And the thing that I don't know if my story's funny, but the thing that I'm going to remember the most about Mark is the holidays. I loved it when he would come over and hang out with us. Just about every holiday, Eileen and Mark would spend with us. And he'd always show up with his O'Doul's non-alcoholic beer. And he was just so easy to talk to and just fun to chat with. He always asked tons of questions about your life. And he always you could just feel that he genuinely cared. He always asked, whenever I would see him and my parents weren't with us, he'd always say, how's Mom and Dad? And he was just such a genuinely caring person. But one thing about Mark is that Mark had a very short attention span. And so on the holidays, he would be over, and just about every holiday at about 2 hours and 37 minutes, he used to call Eileen Monkey. And he'd always go to Eileen and say, "Monkey, it's time to go." And every holiday, about 2 hours and 37 minutes, that's what we got. But we sure did enjoy our time with Mark on the holidays. And there will be definitely an empty chair at the next holiday, because we will miss him. But we were very grateful to have him for the time that we did. Thank you.
I'm going to tag off my sister. I'm Beth's younger sister, Jill. And when Beth married into, when Beth married into Glenn and Eileen's family, Mark and Eileen became part of our family. We spent, as she said, every holiday, every major family event, they have been there, and Mark will be very sadly missed. But I do have a story. I am 10 years younger than both of my sisters, and so I am the one with the youngest children. And every holiday, Eileen looks at me and asks, "Are we pregnant yet? Mark needs another baby to hold." And every year he was there and he held all three of my littlest children, and we will very sorely miss him for the holidays. And he has become an uncle to them over the years, and he will be missed. Thank you. Anybody else? Can I hand this to you?
Would anybody else like to come up and share anything at all? Does anybody from Welker have a Welker story about Dad by chance? All righty. Well, if you guys do want to come up and share, oh, here we go. Perfect.
My name is Tony Gattoni. August 8th, we had some good times before Wilkers. And he was a good guy, very good guy. Big heart, short temper, big heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Okay. Do we have anybody else? Perfect.
My name's Collier Granberry, and Eileen and I grew up together as kids. And if you fast forward years later, she wound up getting married to a wonderful guy. And my story's not so much funny, but it means a lot to her and I. Twice a year, we would have a really good friend of ours, and he had a ranch. It was about 400 acres, and it was up in San Antonio Valley, up behind Mount Hamilton. And so we would go up there, and twice a year, usually in the spring and in the fall, and Eileen and Mark would come up, and then they bought a trailer. So they had a brand new trailer, brought the trailer up, and we had two really nice ponds that were like lakes, and they would park and get like an oceanfront lake view right on the water. And so, we'd always go over there and ask them if they wanted any help. And Mark and Eileen were like, they were just well-oiled machines. They were setting the jacks up and getting it all level and all that, and setting everything up. And then we would all basically go through, and we would barbecue, and then we would have a big old bonfire. And this was like 400 acres, and there was a landing strip for planes to come in, because some of the owners, the 20 owners, some of them had planes. And so we would sit there and barbecue, and then we would sit around a campfire and tell stories. And Mark was a big fisherman. He loved to go out there, and the fish were just minuscule because of how small the lake was. And Mark would be out there with a fishing pole, crack of dawn. He'd be out there when it was getting dark. I mean, he was a serious fisherman. There was no nonsense there. And gosh, we would take a quad up there, a lot of trails. And so I remember one time Mark and Eileen got on the quad, and they doubled up, and Eileen's sitting on the fender part of it because the seat kind of ended, and Mark's riding it, and they went on the trails and had a really good time. And but Mark was just a remarkable person. No nonsense, very warm-hearted, very soft-spoken. There's certain people in this world, when you meet them for the first time, and then re-engage, how they're, you remember them. You know, there's a lot of people that we see and we kind of out of sight, out of mind, and he was just one of those people that he really kind of stuck with you, you know. He had a personality, a character, and a big heart, and you know, I'm going to miss him. I don't see him that much, but Eileen, you're always welcome to come back up to the ranch anytime, and when we go. You know, I just thank you all for being here, and thank you.
Wow, I didn't realize how many people were here. This is great. My name is Glenn, and wow, those are really bright. I just wanted to let you know that Mark meant a lot to me, to my family as well. All of our kids just adored him. Mitch, you know that as well from the times you've seen them. I never knew Mark from the first iteration. I knew him from the second iteration. Probably about 15 years ago was the first time I met him. And I think the best word I've heard today that just describes Mark to all of us is, Mitch, you said it, he was real. He was just the kind of person you could sit down with, have a conversation with, and you'd remember it. You know, I always think about people that I meet in life and how I want to aspire to be like everybody else. You know, we all have good things that we know about certain people, and Mark is definitely one of those people where he was just real. You want to be like him. You want to be happy like him, have that smile that he always had as well. But the story I wanted to tell was actually a little bit different. The day they got married, and this is probably the biggest smile I ever saw Mark ever have, was the day that Eileen and Mark got married. And Jeanette, you'll probably know this story a little bit too. As I was walking Eileen through our property, and we were just about to go down to start the ceremony, Eileen says to me, "So this is the time when you can tell me that I can leave." And I looked at her and I said, "Absolutely not. You're going through with this. Mark is a great person." And that's what he was. He was just genuine. He was so real to everybody. And like I said, we're all going to miss him as well.
So my name's Dave, and Mark and I go back over 30 years. We worked together. And I haven't heard anybody mention about his golf. He loved to golf as well, and we did a lot of golfing. And dirt bike riding, and so he played hard, he worked hard, and he's just one heck of a guy. And we used to affectionately call him Sparky. That's what we called him. So, really going to miss you, Mark, and God bless you.
I got the nod from Reverend Susan. I have the last word. Uh-oh. So those who don't know me, I'm Eileen. Wow, there are a lot of people here. Wow. Mark was really well loved, right? He had a lot of people in his life, and all of those of you that are online, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you're a part of this, even though you can't be here in person. Mark and I met in the 80s at a party. And if you know what the 80s were like, that's how we met. Yeah, we dated a little bit, but you know, that was more important. Hanging out with our friends and having a good time, and my dog is in the back. And so we kind of drifted apart, because partying was more important than anything else. And then I completely changed my lifestyle and stopped hanging out with those folks. Hi, Jack. Where are you, Jack? Oh, over here. I stopped hanging out with those folks. But I would go because they were bowling in a bowling league right down at the end of the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so I'd stop by after work, and I would ask, "Hi, guys, how are you doing? How's Mark?" "Oh, Mark's great. He'll be here in a little while." "Oh, Mark's away at a place with, you know, Mark was always up to something. And it was, oh, Mark's dating Kathy. And I went, oh, damn it. Damn it. See, because they were introduced through this Kathy and my best friend Allison, Katie's mom. I called Allison and I said, how dare you? And she said, what am I supposed to do? All right, well, then I'd stop by. How's Mark doing? Oh, Mark and Kathy moved in together. I was like, all right. And then eventually it was, Mark and Kathy are having a baby. And I went, I'm out. I'm out. I didn't ask about him again. I didn't ask about him again. He liked a Facebook post. I mean, I had looked for him, but Mark Summers is a common name. I had looked for him, but he liked a mutual friend's Facebook post. It was Clark Peters' wife, Karen, a post that she made, and I went, oh, there he is. So I sent him a note. I'm like, hey, Mark, how are you doing? He's like, I'm fine. I said, what are you doing? He goes, same thing I've been doing. I'm like, what does that mean? Where are you living? Same place I've been living. What does that mean? So we went out. We had a good time. But then he disappeared. I was like, what the heck? We chat on Facebook. Where are you working? I'm working at Facebook. I'm like, I work at Facebook. I know everybody who works at Facebook. He says, no, I'm doing a job at Facebook. And every time I went to go do some planning for the new campus we were moving to, I would find the West Valley Carpet guys, and I would say, hey, where's Mark? And they'd always say, oh, he just left. Is he avoiding me? What? And I'd send him a message. What the hell? He'd say, I just left. Sorry. You got to catch me early. Because my husband woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning on the regular. My friend Arya at work said, are you going to have to double dog dare this guy to meet you for coffee? I said, yeah. So I did, and he met me for coffee. And we started hanging out. And one day I looked at him and I said, Summers, what the hell are we doing? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what are we doing? Are we a couple or not? It had been a couple of years. And he goes, yeah, I guess we are. He was really, really gun shy. And it took a while. You know, when we started dating, every other word was the F word, or every sentence had the F word. I blame all you Welker Brother guys. He'd say, well, this is how we talk. I'm like, not around me, you don't. And he's like, you're such a prude. I don't know, was he still swearing at work? Yeah, okay, all right. So he just toned it down for me and my family, thank you. What's that? The carpet tucks better when you swear at it. Yeah. Mitch moved in with me before Mark did. Yeah, we were roommates before Mark moved in with me, but then Mitch moved in and Mark never left. And one day, and he had helped me get this house ready, and we had just finished my guest room, and Mitch was like, Dad, can I come stay with you for a while? Mark was like, I don't know what to do. I said, well, he can stay in my guest room. So he did. Well, Mark came over that night, and I don't think he ever went home. And one day he looked at me and he said, you know, I think maybe I just need to move in here. And I went, okay. And then I went, this. He said, what's that? I said, I want to know who the hell said okay. I wasn't going to live with anybody again until I was married. That took a long time, too. I had to threaten him. I did. I had to tell him, you know, if you're not going to commit for the rest of your life, you need to bolt, man. Well, but I don't need it. I said, I do. I need you to make a commitment to me. And he had till the end of May to do it, and he did it on that very last day. We had already bought the ring, all of that, but he waited until the last moment, because sometimes that was my husband, right? And of course, this was during COVID, so we couldn't get married yet, but when we did, we were looking at locations, and I said, I want to get married at the family property. And he said, that's so far, nobody's going to come. I said, what, your family from Iowa? Hi, guys. I said, everybody will come. And we worked really hard for months on cleaning up the forest and making it perfect. And my Aunt Jeanette married us. And everybody participated. And it was more than we could have asked for. He told me often that was the happiest day of his life. We had so much fun. He would give me a bad time when I would talk to strangers. He gave me a bad time when I put a patio out in front of the house when I redid the yards. Why would you do that? I said, because I want to sit outside and talk to people. He goes, I'm never going to do that. I don't talk to strangers. Some of our neighbors are here. I think they knew him better than they knew me, because he was always outside. He had a big heart. You know, my best friend, Phyllis Gallagher. Bless you, Phyllis. Phyllis died 2 weeks before Mark did. And that bitch took him with her. See, we called Phyllis Mark's girlfriend and Mark Phyllis's boyfriend. Never mind that she was 80 years old. He adored her. During COVID, he was like, when are we got to bring dinner to Phyllis. You want to make sure she's not alone. And she was at her wedding. She was at her house just last summer. Before Phyllis came home, she was very sick. Before she came home, Mark volunteered his time to redo all of the floors in the bottom half of her house so that she could get around in a wheelchair or a walker. He did it because he loved her, and that was who he was. He loved people. We did floors here, actually, together. He had never laid LVT before, and he got really frustrated. And I said, let's go eat. Well, I have to. I said, I'll help you tomorrow. Let's go eat. Because you know he would get hangry, right? John, what was it? A Diet Coke, a banana, and a cigarette for lunch, right? And so I sat down and I read the directions and I figured out how to do it, and we knocked it out, right? Because my husband never read directions for anything. He called me monkey. He hated that I kept bringing home animals. But they loved him, I think sometimes more than me. He told me we were not getting a dog. I have a video of him from a year and a half ago telling me that when we both fully retired and moved up to the Mendocino house, that's when we can get a dog. He didn't get to retire. But because I was up there by myself so often, he agreed to get a dog. And Finn, which I don't know, he's back there somewhere, I think. I'm grateful for that little dog. And he would call me and he'd say, how's my boy? And I'd say, you mean, how's your wife? No, how's my boy? For anybody who knows my husband, other than Scott, he won't talk on the phone for more than like 47 seconds. Oh, hi, Finn. He didn't want to talk on the phone, but as we were apart longer and longer, he talked more on the phone. Right after Phyllis died, like the day after, he called me, and he said, I saw the most amazing thing. I had to tell you about it. And I said, what? He said, I was sitting out on the front porch, smoking a cigarette, and I looked up, and Phyllis was flying over the trees at the park across the street, and she had the biggest smile on her face, and she waved at me, and I went, oh my God. I'm waiting for him to fly over that park so I can see him. I waited a long time for Mark Summers. A really long time. He was really rough around the edges. But you know what? He turned into the biggest, sweetest man. Took some work and a lot of fights. But he supported me 100%. And he supported my dream. I didn't plan on losing him at this point. In fact, a week before he passed, he said, honey, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to call the doctor. I'm going to get this pill that John told him about. Somebody, John or Carl. I'm going to have the doctor give me this pill so I can stop smoking because I want to live a really long, healthy life with you, Eileen Keratin. And when he said my first and last name, I knew it came from the bottom of his heart. He didn't get to do that. He's been messing with Mitch and I all day. My sunglasses broke getting in the wagon. The iron wouldn't work. It's just been one thing after another. And I'm grateful that Mitch and Maria have been here, that Beth and Glenn and the girls have been holding me up. I'm grateful for all the calls and the cards and the messages and the hugs. We won't let you be forgotten, Mark. There's no way. I worked too damn hard. I worked too hard to get to that point with you. I don't think there's a whole lot more for me to say. I'm sure I have a million stories. And I will happily share them with you if you ask. But right now, I think it's time to turn it back over to Susan. Thank you all for being here. I'm grateful. By the way, Susan's doing this because Mark loved her. Because she's real like he was.
I think I went a little deaf after you said you didn't like the F word. I was like, how are we friends? She knows I'm from Brooklyn. What? I said that before I said mama. But anyway, that is a true story. We're going to honor this love story now because Dave Dumont and Margot are going to sing Eileen and Mark's wedding song. And after that, we'll have a slideshow.
As time has unfolded me, it has revealed to me life's nothing less than sublime. With every thought I make, every last breath I take, may I be brave and kind. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Kindness wash over me. Make me a symphony. Play every note you can find. Make me reverberate. Gently deactivate. Slowly flow out of my mind. Find let my anthem be. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. 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 I will not be shaken, no, I will not be moved. Love, cover me. May my heart be awakened, tenderness be proved. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, 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 love. Sing it with me. Love, 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 love. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. 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 Cover me. Love, cover me.
Yeah, he's got the keyboard. Thank you. Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. Where there are clouds in the sky, you get by if you smile through your fear and sorrow.
that light comes shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You see that life is still worthwhile if you smile. If you smile through your fears and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll see that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.
Are we good? Oh. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Margot. We have our folks in the booth. Thank you. They've turned the camera around so that the family in Iowa can see how many of you are here to honor Mark. So you can all wave to the family and friends who are watching. David Ellsworth wrote, "If love could have saved you, you would have lived forever." I think that was proven today. As a final remembrance, I'd like you to take a moment and close your eyes. If you are so inclined, if you would, and just in the privacy of your own heart, I want you to recall Mark's life and any part in it that may have intertwined with yours. And take a moment, again, to go inward and in the privacy of your heart, express your gratitude for the gifts that he shared with you, any passion that he may have imparted to you, any lesson that you might have learned, any laughs that you may have shared. And we'll take a minute to pause. And as you feel Mark's presence now, whatever you want to say to him, maybe you want to put your hand over your heart or just hold your hands together or even outward. We'll take the next minute so that you can silently say anything that may have been left unsaid. Franz Schubert is a composer who said, some people come into our lives, and for however long they're with us, they've left footprints on our heart. Today we have the opportunity to cherish the memories and those footprints that are forever sacred, sustained in a love that is stronger than death, comforted by the hope that life is endless. We honor the memory of this dear one who has gone before, realizing that Mark's spirit goes into a more glorious expression or experience and shall continue on its forward journey into a more beautiful expression of eternity. So in closing, as we hold Mark in our hearts and memories from this day forward, we honor his memory by making two promises that I think he would have appreciated. The first one is to treat friends and family with a caring heart and honest, real interaction. I've heard him referred to as real a couple of times today. The second one, to move through life with a quick wit, a generous laugh, and a brilliant smile, and the commitment to holding our hearts open to allow others into our lives with the intention of honoring all beings. And one of the things I have brought today is a basket of rose petals. In the interest of time, I'm going to leave them right there on the edge of the stage, the pulpit. And to signify this promise, those two promises, I invite everyone as you leave the sanctuary, or you want to come back in later, to take a rose petal and place it around the urn to offer your promise to Mark as signified by a rose petal. Eileen, you get to go first. Someone once wrote, "What is the definition of success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent and all people, and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a little bit better, whether it be by a healthy child, a garden patch, an awesome car," I added that, and to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That's what it means to succeed. So we've honored Mark's memory, and we can end by saying thank you, Mark, to all of the gifts that you shared by sharing your full life, to release you to the next part of your journey as you walk hand in hand with the Creator and all of those who have gone before you, lighting the way. I want to again thank you all for coming, as here ends the ceremony and here begins Mark's new life. You're invited to join in fellowship hall afterward. Right in there, there'll be refreshments and a chance to share more stories and to tell Eileen how much Mark meant to you. And as we close, I invite you to please stand and offer Mark the standing ovation that he deserves.